Nelson Dellis was a forgetful kid growing up, just like most kids. He couldn't remember the names of people he just met. He forgot birthdays. Once, he forgot a hot dog on the stove. His father came home to find it burning. But at age 31, Nelson found himself competing at the U.S. Memory Championships. He was in the last stage of the competition. He needed extraordinary memory expertise to have any hope of winning. His final test? He needed to memorize 2 decks of cards, 104 cards in perfect order. Could Nelson really become U.S. Memory Champion? Can ordinary forgetful people become memory athletes?
In the last video, we learned about your attentional octopus. That is, your working memory. In this video, we want to look more closely at what's going on in your long-term memory, that mental locker where you store information that you want to keep for a long time. Your long-term memory has 2 parts to it: a toothpaste tube that's sitting in the locker and the rest of the locker. I know what you're thinking, huh? These are our metaphors for the 2 parts of long-term memory. The key idea is this: it's hard to put stuff into a toothpaste tube, but it's easy to tape a picture to the wall of a locker.
We already know that your attentional octopus can take information out of long-term memory. It can reach out to zap a connection to a brain link. But your attentional octopus also puts information into long-term memory. The octopus first looks at the information to decide where it belongs. Pictures go onto one part of your cortex and facts go into some other part. To your octopus, facts are like toothpaste. They're hard to handle. Your octopus struggles to squeeze facts into a tube. But if the information is a picture, your octopus is much happier. It just sticks the picture to the wall of the locker. Easy peasy.
What do we mean by a fact? Maybe you have to memorize the fact that Africa's largest city is named Lagos. Or maybe you have to memorize 1473, the year that the famous astronomer Nicholas Copernicus was born. Facts like this are abstract. They're harder to see in your mind's eye. That's what makes facts harder to store, like putting toothpaste in a toothpaste tube. But information that's in pictures is much easier to remember. Imagine you're building a large, as in huge, Lego building right there in Lagos. There. Now you can easily remember that Lagos is the largest city in Africa. And for the year 1473, well, maybe your cousin is 14 years old. So picture your cousin at her 14th birthday party, which happens to have a cake on Copernicus's head. A tiny superhero spreading his arms, leaping forward from the top of her head. That's the 7. The superhero is leaping towards 2 oranges set together. The 3. There you go. You've just memorized 1473. Do you get the idea? If you convert a fact into an unusual picture, it will get a lot easier to remember. If the picture somehow involves movement, it will stick even more strongly. This is what Nelson does. Basically, he tells himself silly visual jokes that help him to remember.
Here's another example. In chemistry, there's something called the reactivity series. Basically, some chemicals blow up more easily than others. To learn the reactivity series, you need to memorize these metals in the right order: potassium, sodium, lithium, calcium, magnesium, aluminum, zinc, iron, copper, silver, gold. That's 11 metals in the right order. You could repeat them dozens of times and still not have the list stick in memory. Here's where a trick can help. Think of a kid in gym trunks in a science lab. He wants to go outside and play a sport. He looks towards his teacher, who's dressed in a lab coat. He says, "Please, sir, let's cancel math and science. Instead, cricket, swimming, golf."
The first letter of each word in the sentence is the first letter of each of the metals. This is called a mnemonic. If you know the mnemonic, you can write the series down at the beginning of the test. That gives you the information you need to solve the chemistry problems. You had to rename science Science, but it works.
I'm Barb Oakley.
I'm Greg Hammonds.
And I'm Terry Sinofsky.
We and Arizona State University wish you happy learning.